Hello, everybody, and welcome to WatchHaus. An unfamiliar face here. It's been a bit since I've been on. Hello, my name is Thibaldork, and I am joined here by Mallory and Rob because we needed some people to talk about a very interesting weekend in Overwatch. Before we get into any of that, let's talk about what we've been doing. Let's kind of reset our watches here. Mallory, I'll let you go first. What have you been up to?
Alrighty then. I have, of course, as always, been doing recaps. Boston had a break this week, so I got to talk about my other team, the Los Angeles Valiant, who I love very, very much, even if they hurt my feelings. And I got to do the top plays of the week. I got to step in for Connor and have some fun with that. And that was a lot of fun. I had a really great time doing that. And then, of course, last week was the premiere of House Queens, which is the all women podcast that we are now doing every Tuesday with all the women who work at the Game Haus. And we have a new episode coming out tomorrow. So make sure you come back to this Twitch channel to watch us all.
Do it.
Good deal. All right. What you been up to? Your thing just says lots of stuff, but I feel we need a little more than lots of stuff.
I just figured that was the easiest way to describe it. Been really busy. Myself and Ben, were working with Joe. We did both nights of the NFL draft live, which was a combined like almost 12 hours, I think. Then you had prep work and all that stuff. I got like 3 hours of sleep. Then I went and watched Endgame, which everybody needs to go see. It was really fun. We've done it, I think, 2 or 3 years in a row now. I think, we did a pretty good job for what we've got, honestly. I'm really happy. And Joe's
Definitely.
super smart. I mean, God, he knows his shit. I mean, there's no doubt about it. If you guys need somebody who knows stuff about the NFL and you care about your team, that guy knows pretty much anything and everything. Let's just say that he knew everything about 300 different people who could have been drafted, more than what actually happens in the draft itself. So, the man is an absolute genius. Then I've been working on a piece, been coaching baseball, been doing stuff in the back end for TGH normally. God, I don't know. A lot of other stuff. A lot of fun stuff. So it's been busy,
Lots
but
of
good.
stuff.
Yeah, lots of stuff works.
Got it. Okay. In a similar vein, I have also been doing lots of stuff. I was in some sleepy little town named Allen this weekend. Um, I did some interviews. I did some of my usual content, though I'll get into that. It was a bit of an interesting story there. I'm going to LA again this weekend for more content because why not? Um, let's see. I announced recently that I'm running for the community lead position for the U.S. World Cup team, which is going to be interesting. Um, and in general, I spent the weekend not getting enough sleep and running around a lot. But it was good. It was a good amount of running around. And we're going to get to that, I believe, here in a bit. But I did also want to go over some contenders roundups. Yeehaw, pew pew. Um, so I'm going to go region by region and give very basic summaries so you can say you're caught up with contenders, even if you haven't been watching. Because let's be real, there's a lot to get through, and I get that. Um, so in North American West, quarterfinals are going on literally right this second. They should be pretty good, and whoever gets through there has to face off against Envy and Sky Foxes, which I wouldn't wish upon anybody. Um, North American East actually just finished its quarterfinals a bit ago. Gladiators Legion beat Chicken Contendies. Montreal Rebellion beat Second Wind. Those teams are going up against Mayhem Academy and Fusion Uni, respectively, tomorrow, which is also terrifying. South American quarterfinals are going on right now to find out who faces off against Low Key Esports and X10 Esports, who are both insane. Um, Australia has LAN semifinals and grand finals late Friday evening and early Saturday morning. The next two matchups are Drop Bears versus Melbourne Mavericks and Order versus Blank. which should be an interesting one because their last matchup was a 4-0, but that could change. Things have changed, and you never know because it's Australia and it's land too. In China, we're almost done. Semifinals are on Saturday and grand finals are on Sunday, though they are at 3 in the morning, which is going to be a struggle. LGE versus BLG, which are Chengdu and Hangzhou's academy teams. They're facing off against one another. And two unsigned teams, LGD versus T1W, are playing to round out the last grand final spot. Anyone could win any of those. It's insane. China is a ridiculous region as always, but they've definitely turned it up this weekend, or this season, I should say. In Europe, we are heading towards the grand finals, I believe, on Friday. It's going to be British Hurricane versus Angry Titans, which is a Week 7 rematch. I actually interviewed a couple players from both of those teams for that game, but they're equally applicable to this game. So be ready to watch that. It's going to be insane. Korea is kind of a ways off. Their quarterfinals don't start until the 10th of May. Genji and Runaway are in semifinals already because they kick butt all season long. But a few other teams are going to be fighting to face them and probably lose against them. But, anything can happen. In the Pacific, we are almost to this one, Esports versus Nova, both of which have had insanely strong regular seasons, and they are probably just going to kick the tar out of each other. They're going to look like most of the characters at the end of the most recent episode of Game of Thrones. No spoilers, by the way. And that's Contenders in general. We are in playoffs across the board, and it is insane. So go watch Contenders. Thank you.
Definitely exciting stuff.
Dang. Okay, that was a lot. So I want somebody else to talk about the weekend in review. Mallory, do you want to start us off with Saturday? Saturday was a very interesting day for us.
I unfortunately didn't get to watch any of the games on Saturday because I was at work.
Boo! Boo
No,
you!
how dare I have a job?
Yeah, that's the worst. Okay.
Literally the entirety of the games I was at work from 11 until 6. I got to see nothing.
I watched some of
What
them.
did you hear in hindsight? What were people like, dude, you should have seen blankety...
I got you on this. So, I did talk about... I asked about it, rather, yesterday when I was watching all the Sunday games. And I heard that for the most part, all the games were sweeps.
Yep.
Which is... I don't want to say it's upsetting, because it's not. It's obviously really good, especially for Dallas. Sweep, get the first win in your hometown. Everything is dope. It's just sometimes a little uneventful for like sweep. But good for Dallas. I mean, I'm happy for them. I'm now a low-key converted Dallas fan because they have my boy Note. So
As you should be.
It took a while, but I got there. And now I'm here. It's fun. It was a fun time. Yes, Kate cried about Paris. I'm so sorry, Kate. Paris.
Many people did, to be fair, because they got kicked.
They did not have a good weekend. No doubt.
My main thing that I wanted to look at was boo. It was the best part of the weekend.
Yeah.
It was gnarly.
Why are people so
It was just. It's just I think the thing is that these fans have never interacted with that part of fandom. In Blizzard Arena is a very unique space. It is a place where everyone is a home team. Of course, the LA teams probably have an advantage, but generally, there are always going to be fans of your team there who will have a decent voice, and therefore, everyone is pretty respectful, I guess, because it's not like you're in my house and this, that, and the other, which is exactly what this was. That was the whole point. So I think it was generally off-putting for people who have seen Blizzard Arena and seen. I mean, nobody boos anybody in Blizzard Arena, at least not in like the real way. They'll occasionally, they'll occasionally be like, you're playing my team, blah blah blah, but they're never going to be like, He's a
Listen,
profit symbol.
I know a thing or two about booing in the arena. I'm a Bostonian. I've been to Boston Red Sox Yankees games. I know what it's like when you're about to throw down in the audience. I was 11 years old once, and some old dude wanted to fight me because I was like, yo, these Yankees suck.
Did you
He
win?
was like, you shut up, you're a little girl. And I was like, I'll kick your butt. So,
Yeah, I could see that happening.
I
I could see you doing that 100%.
Well, I don't know if you're gonna like me, Mallory. My second team is the Yankees, so.
well, get out of the call.
All right. All right. No, we're fine. We're all friends here.
Are we gonna do Boston NYXL? It's a good thing I didn't wear my NYXL hat.
I'm just gonna remind you, Mallory, that's our boss. Just okay. God,
Come on.
I just don't think people were ready. I don't think people who had never experienced something like that could be exposed to that and think anything besides, what the heck? What is going on? But at the same time, everybody who has done that, all the people who have gone to college football games and baseball games and NFL games and hockey games, they knew the deal. They knew what was going on. I was sitting next to a bunch of like rowdy kids from like Texas Tech, and they were going nuts. They had all the chants. They had flags. Their faces were painted. Their beards were blue. Like, it was insane. It felt a lot like a college football game in that way, because college football tends to kind of turn it up in that regard. But it did definitely feel, to use your analogy, it felt like a Boston Philly or Boston New York game, in the sense of like, I might stab someone in the parking lot, or someone might try and stab me in the parking lot. You know, like a 49ers versus Raiders game where like you can't do them anymore because people keep shooting each other or something. It was kind of like, I mean, if there was actually a valiant presence there, it might have approached that. But at least it had one side of that sort of conflict, which was, you are in our house. This is the first time anyone's been here, and we are going to make our presence known. So it was a very interesting phenomenon. I was all for it. I was moving with the rest of them, dude. It was, you got to let them know. This is the future. It's weird. I think it's strange that a lot of people are kind of like, don't do that. You should like love one another. And it's like, you can do both. I have many Valiant fan friends that I greatly enjoy, that I was sitting with. But when the Valiant came out, for the next about an hour, they were kind of dead to me. And then they came back, and then it was all good. And we went and, hung out and got food, and that was that. But, like, you got to know, for that 20 minutes it takes us to sweep you, yeah.
And if you're the Overwatch League, you want that. Like, the most important thing about sending this to different places. You want people to boo the other team. Like, they probably were all standing up clapping when that happened, right? Like, all the executives, Nate Nancer's probably popping a bottle of champagne. I mean, maybe not to that extent, but let's be honest. Like, it is one of the most important things I think we could have asked for in this weekend. I'm actually coming out with a piece tomorrow that talks about the fan bases. And, kind of like who has the biggest ones, who's doing well on social media, all that stuff. I talk a little bit about Dallas. Spoiler alert, they are second, not first, in most amount of people following them, which I find to be very interesting and surprising, if I'm being honest. But the most important thing is that now Dallas owners should be like, hell yes, we can go to home games, we can have a home stadium, and not only will we have people go to the games, but they're also going to get super into it and paint their beards and their faces. So, I don't know. For me, I think booing is the ultimate, thing that you would have wanted. So, in my opinion.
I agree. Yeah, walking around up in the press area, I crossed paths with Manzer more than a couple times, and every time he had things to smile about. So the conversations I was hearing were generally positive in that regard, and I think I agree. That is exactly what they were going for. So mission accomplished there. And that moved on well into Sunday as well, which is what I want to talk about next. Before I get into the obvious discussion point of Sunday, can we just talk about Chengdu versus the Spitfire? Like, hello?
What a game.
That game, one of the best I've seen in a minute, beyond the obvious, which we will discuss soon. Just shades of season one all throughout, but better. I would say probably one of the better matches we've seen easily this stage.
Absolutely.
And potentially this season. It had everything. There's the upset, there's the compositions, there's clutch moments, there's like 6 different people played Doomfist. You know, like, these games don't happen very often, but when they do, man, they delivered. And I asked for comment on the game itself between both of the teams, and they both knew what was going to happen. They knew exactly what was going on. London said, "It's Chengdu. What are we going to do except play a bunch of DPS comps?"
Yeah.
And Chengdu said, "We're Chengdu. What are we going to do besides play a bunch of DPS comp?" So it worked out very well in the sense that they both knew exactly what they were stepping into, and they leaned into it, which in a sense is almost surprising to me then given the result, because any pundit on the desk will tell you London's got some of the best DPS in the world. And they're right, of course. Prophet is good, Birdring is good. I mean, they've got, take your pick, throw a dart, and you're going to land on a top 5 player in their role, a top 2 or 3 player in their role. But then Chengdu is just Chengdu. I don't really know what was going on there. I mean, it's just too many clutch moments, I guess, can overcome what you might consider a greater consistent edge from the Spitfire. So I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on the match too.
Oh, I get to go first. Oh, that's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, go off, Rob.
Okay, yeah, no, I was pumped. I mean, I am a London Spitfire fan, so I was disappointed, but I was really excited by the fact that we saw a lot of DPS, which I think makes for more exciting, entertaining Overwatch. I'm not as big of a hater on GOATs as everybody else, but it was really refreshing. Chengdu's been doing that for a while, and I think they're growing their fan base very quickly because of it. Even if they're like your second or your third team, like they're a lot of people's second or third team because of what they're doing. And, I'm just hoping now, and I'm sorry, Mallory, but I'm hoping they go and they 4-0 the Valiant next week. I want to see them in the playoffs really badly. Like, please, can we please see Chengdu in there? I know Valiant fans probably hate me right now, but if we can sacrifice the Valiant to get Chengdu in, I think we're doing the right thing for this stage. I think they would bring some exciting gameplay, and I think they'd be a team that could surprise people and go pretty far and be a lot of fun. We saw that, right? London was undefeated. They looked back to being the London team from last year. I was losing my mind. Like, my dad is also a Spitfire fan with me. He checks in every week. How did they do this week? Sometimes he'll watch the games with me, and when I told him they lost to Chengdu, he was like, "It's not one of the bad teams." I was like, "No, they're definitely not one of the bad teams, but they're probably one of the most fun teams, if not the most fun team to watch." And they took it to them. There's nothing else for me, at least, to say. I loved it. I was so pumped. And you're gonna get maybe I'll get a pin for it, but Chengdu to the playoffs. Valiant, you got fall on your sword for us, for the viewers.
They can be Gamora in this situation.
Is this because I wanted to fight you?
No, I promise. I support you in everything. I just can't not see Chengdu make it. You know it needs to happen.
I know.
You know it needs to happen.
I'm a really big Chengdu fan as well. I like them a lot. And I can be a realistic Valiant fan, and I can understand that they're probably not going to win. They looked really better this weekend. That game versus Seoul.
I was going to say, yeah.
If you were in the call with me, I was losing my mind. I went in expecting full pain and sadness. and I came out the other side, and I was like, oh my god, is this the team that I fell in love with last season? Are they coming back? Can they do this? I mean, both of the control maps were a little messy, especially Busan. Busan was a mess,
It was rough.
but they're coming back, and I feel really good about it. In terms of the London Chengdu match, that was everything to me. Chengdu's Mercy player, I don't want to say his name out loud because I'm gonna mess it up, but he was going for some of the most dangerous reses I've ever seen in my life, and just getting away with it. He just kept doing it. I was like, London, you can't keep letting him get away with this, but they sure did. He would just dive right into the enemy team and say, boop, like stare them down and mentally intimidate them with Angela Ziegler's cute little face. And
The most intimidating face of all.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
honestly, and it was really, really fun. It was just really, really fun for me to watch. I'm a big Chengdu fan, so I was very happy that they won.
Have you seen Band of Brothers by chance?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, his play reminded me of the medic in Band of Brothers. Like, just running in, I don't give an F. I'm going to just go in there and I'm going to go save my people, right? Like, I just feel like that's what it was. And yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Mallory. That was a very, very good description of what he was doing.
A really interesting point over the course of that game was that people gradually started rooting for Chengdu.
Mm-hmm.
And by the end of the game, when their victory was more or less secured, the entire stadium was chanting for the Hunters, which is the only team besides Dallas or Houston that got that sort of treatment. Like, custom chants for the Hunters that went across the entire stadium, which was insane. In general, it's very easy to root for that team, which is good to see, because it was a shade of Blizzard Arena's energy at the Allen Event Center. That sort of inclusive, back to like, this is everybody's home type deal. Dallas welcomed Chengdu. If they had been playing Dallas, of course, that's enemy number one. But otherwise, it was good to see people enjoying a game for what Overwatch can really be at its core.
Absolutely.
I also want to say the Valiant played Soul better than Dallas played Soul, and that kind of worried me. That kind of really worried me. But they also had a bad week, and they had to play Vancouver, so that's justification in my eyes. Yeah, no, that game was nuts, but good nuts, the good kind of nuts, like the salted peanuts, that you get in the can. They got the little honey.
Oh, I got some downstairs.
So good. Some cashews.
Oh my
Man.
god.
Usually cashews, actually. My girlfriend's allergic to peanuts, so I kind of got to play it safe,
Oh, you gotta be super serious.
Okay, before I go off on any tangents sponsored by Planters, let's talk about the big cowboy boot in the room. The Yeehaw, Old Town roadless, no horses in the back, yet still... I'm running out of Texas things. Houston versus Dallas, everybody. What a game it was. I want to hear initial impressions from both of you, having watched the match or maybe heard about the match, if the day job struck again, or whatever. What'd you think? Go.
I was there last night. I was watching it. I was living for it. Like, at some points, you couldn't even hear the game, and you couldn't even hear the casters because the crowd was so loud. And I wasn't even annoyed by it. I was like, this is dope. This is what you want. Like, this is what you expect when you go to sporting events. I thought Houston looked pretty good. I was a little worried that they were just going to get swept, because you want it to be a competitive series when it's a rivalry thing. You don't want it to just be, boring. I wanted it to be competitive, and I wanted it to be hype, which is, I believe, what Darby said. And it was. It was exactly that. I don't know what it is about rivalries that makes teams like this, spark to life. The same thing happened in the Battle of LA. The LA Valiant just sparked to life, and they went off. So I think more games like this, and maybe, Houston can be on the rise. They played pretty well. I'm always a big fan of watching Muma Overwatch do Muma things. But OGE was playing out of his mind all weekend. You can't stop the mad lad. He's just unstoppable.
Both of them had such a day.
Mm.
And OG easily got the most chants as an individual across the stadium. It was him, then AKM, then Zach. And then Unko got some because he got player of the match. But like OG got people love him. He's like the star right now. It made him cry.
That
At
was
the end of the game, he
amazing.
literally burst into tears.
I was very emotional.
Everyone was chanting his name, and it was like nonstop for like 3 minutes. It was all OG, and he just broke down. It was insane. It was poignant. It was beautiful. That was everything I wanted in that game because he deserved it. He pops off. He like carries us. I could only imagine what we would be doing without him right now, and it's nothing good. So
Yeah, I was impressed. I'm gonna be honest. I've been to esports events myself. I've been to the LCS the last 4 or 5 times, and they change your opinion on esports. Yo, I always thought esports was great, and then I went to my first event, and I was like, this is why everybody says you have to go to one. You have to go to one to really understand the experience. And that game, I remember thinking that game, I was like, you know what, I'm going to turn it on because it's the rivalry. I'll watch the beginning of it. It'll be really fun. Dallas will take over, and I'll probably stop watching it. That game was so tight for such a long time, and
right,
it wasn't that Dallas was playing badly either. Dallas was, I think, playing mostly out of their mind. Zachary was on his Sombra. I think it was on, oh god, what map was it on? The second to last map. I'm forgetting where they were playing, but he's playing his Sombra and he gets like an EMP triple kill back to back, and I'm just like, this kid's finally getting out of brig jail. He's playing out of his mind. This crowd is losing their mind. It reminded me that there are pieces on the Houston Outlaws that I like, that have talent and that can do a lot of great things. Um, Overall, I think the weekend was great. That match really capped it off. I don't know if, again, I don't know if you could ask for anything better. I mean, outside of a fifth map and it going down to the wire, I mean, Dallas fans would have had a heart attack. Houston fans would have lost their minds. But, you
I'm
know,
good. I'm good without.
yeah, like I said, Dallas fans would be having a heart attack. But for me, I loved it, man. It was so cool to see, and watching OG cry like that was, to me, shows. I think somebody put it on Twitter, like you're gonna tell me that esports don't matter, that that they're like not having them live isn't like that big of a deal. Like, you could feel the energy, like you could feel them hearing it even when they have those headphones on that try to cancel out as much noise as possible. People have talked about it before. Like, you can really like feel it, and you can hear the energy, and if nothing else, you can see the thousands of people standing and cheering for you. It was amazing. I can't wait. I'm gonna try to go to Atlanta. Hopefully, I will see a bunch of awesome TGH people there. Um, but uh, but yeah, in general, I'm thrilled. I don't know how else to put it. It was amazing.
The volume, I think, really was the biggest part.
Oh my
Just
god.
like, so everybody knows that the players wear very expensive soundproof headphones to try and help, you know, avoid hearing the C9 that's going on behind them or anything like that. Any sort of stimuli from the audience that could affect their competition. They just didn't work this weekend.
Mhm.
When I asked about like how's the crowd noise affecting you, they were like, we might as well have not been wearing the headphones. Like, it literally didn't matter
That's
because it
crazy.
was so loud. And not only the volume, but the vibration, the cheering and the stomping and the clapping moved their desk, like literally like rattled their keyboards around. It was so big. Um, and it just in general, I don't think any of them were prepared for that. Obviously, not in a bad way. It's not like it adversely affected too many of them. I mean, even Houston said that overall, like they didn't do like a we're playing the Seahawks style like crowd noise pumping, but they did apparently try and practice in a louder environment or to somehow like artificially make things a little bit louder.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so they weren't too affected by, adversely affected by the volume. But even then, it was unexpected for all of them, which I think is really cool. I think it's great that you can come on stage and you can see the wide expanses of people and they're all standing and clapping and cheering. But when somebody gets a 6-man EMP or a 3-man bomb or a 5-man shatter or anything like that, like something happens and there's nothing you can do about it except ride the wave. So I thought that was really interesting. Um, and to kind of close it out, I want to talk about some of the closing remarks from both of these teams that you guys will be seeing in articles soon because they're way too good not to include. But of course, people listening to WatchHaus get some exclusive first goodies. Um, Houston didn't have too much to say, obviously, because they got clapped. Rest in peace,
Is
Burn
that
Blue,
what you
baby.
call it? Is that what you call it?
Yes, they got clapped. Yes, that's the word the kids use, old man.
Hey, no,
Um,
no, no. I mean it that game was a little bit closer than getting clapped. I know what
no,
clapped means.
nope, nope, they got clapped. Roll with it.
Fine,
Yes, it was very close. I know.
fine.
Yes,
I
Kings
will
Row and
accept
Gibraltar
it.
were all very close. Yes, it was good. Houston took a map. They cheesed on Anubis. Yada yada yada. Houston. Jake was the only one really with any spice. He said, "Well, now it's actually a rivalry since they've beaten us one time. Now we can actually call it a rivalry,"
I like
which
it.
I thought was funny, but technically true. Um, and then Dallas. Basically, all of them were like, "Yeah, they won Anubis because they basically just didn't try, and we weren't ready for a Widow comp." And then they said, Zach specifically, I mean, because who else is going to pop off but Zachary? He said, at the end of the day, I've played East Coast ranked teams with better goats than the Houston Outlaws. And that silenced people. That was like we had a couple minutes left for questions, and they were like, does anyone have anything else? And nobody said anything. It was instantaneous, but amazing. Is everything I wanted and more.
What a
So
quote.
expect more of the same coming from me here in the next couple days because I'm going to do my best to get everything I have transcribed and posted because there's a lot. There's a lot of good stuff. Um,
That's ballsy, man. I love it.
yeah, yeah. Um, it's
More of that in esports.
the weekend in itself was insane. I think there were certainly some flaws, but the teams and the league itself planned for that specifically.
Hmm.
And I know they've taken a lot of data and really figured out, okay, here's what went wrong, here's what we can fix, here's what went right, which were many things, and that's what we need to do again. Um, I I hope they're in better communication with the electrical grid people because that sucked. I mean, it wasn't even their fault. Like, of course, there's nothing you can do when an entire section of the city shuts down. But I'm hoping they can maybe poke the city of Atlanta and say, hey, we're maybe going to be using a little more electricity than normal. Maybe you should like be ready for that. And I think Atlanta in general will be a little more prepared for that than sleepy old Allen, Texas. Um, So hopefully that doesn't happen again. As fun as it was to see crowd shots and have them play Smash Mouth for 45 minutes, I much rather would have watched the games and gotten out 45 minutes earlier because, man, these days take a while. Um, any closing thoughts from you guys? We've kind of gone through the whole weekend here, but I want to know if you guys have anything else that's kind of struck you now that we've gone through this homestand weekend and we're approaching the end of the stage.
Oh, okay. I'm going to start again. I think I think there were a couple things that stuck with me. I think first off, I think the Overwatch League is in better health than I think a lot of people want to believe it is, or think it is. It's doing fine. We see plateaus, we see drop offs, we see all this stuff. Selling out your first home game like that shows that there are plenty of people out there who will watch this and it will grow. And they will tell all their friends, holy shit, did you see this? It was insane. right? Like, you got to go to these things. Let's go to a game together next year. Let's plan this out. Let's get season tickets, right? Like, however they do it, I think it shows for them and for the Overwatch League that it works. I recently asked the commissioner of the LCS, League of Legends, if they had any plans on doing similarly as the Overwatch League has done, and he told me that they've been paying attention, and that they are himself and one of the owners of and the owner of Team Liquid, Steve Arhanset, also said that they are big fans of what is going on, and you can see it now. Like, I want to stress this to everybody. This is the biggest takeaway that you should take from the Overwatch League's weekend. It's not about right now. What they are doing is setting it up for the future and for the next generation and the next generation, right? Enjoy it now, but understand that, like, when they go to Dallas, maybe they're not going to sell out 4,500 people every single time. I don't know. I mean, the stadium in Philly is, I think, only going to be like 3,500 people, but it still is something that is starting now, and it's just going to grow. So don't be down on it. Be happy and proud and love the fact that the Overwatch League took a massive, huge step for all esports this weekend. Sorry if that was a little bit of a soap, but I think that it's something that needs to be said.
I definitely agree. Yeah, it's all about future investment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of people expect instant gratification in many things, but certainly here in the Overwatch League as well.
Yeah.
When in reality, this is investments looking into minimum 5 years, talking 10, 20, 25. We want to make this an institution that can survive, and be a viable enterprise, let's say, much like any other sports league. Then yeah, it's going to need to take some slow and small steps.
Absolutely.
And just keep making those steps. Mallory, what do you think? What can you take away from this weekend in the future of the Overwatch League?
I think it was really good. I mean, it sounds so boring to say it like that, but I definitely think that this is the start of something that's going to be really dope. I know a lot of people were frightened when they announced geolocation for next year because a lot of people just weren't sure how it was going to work. And as a little sneak preview, we're going to be talking about some of this tomorrow on House Queens.
Wow, hey, when and where can you watch that show, House Queens, by the Game Haus, Mallory?
That's a good question, Brandon. You can watch House Queens tomorrow night, I believe, at 8 o'clock Eastern time for me.
Yeah, okay.
Eastern for me, so maybe earlier for you.
5 p.m. Pacific, etc., yes.
Oh, it's 9. Thank you, Kate. I'm bad at math.
Okay.
The answer is I'm bad at math. You can watch it
I
right here.
Really threw this pitch to you. There you go. Okay, so 9 Eastern tomorrow. Where can I watch it at 9 Eastern tomorrow, Matt?
This exact Twitch channel right here, twitch.tv/The Game Haus.
Wow.
That's what I was going to ask. Wow.
So many places
All right.
to watch so many great Overwatch League shows.
It's incredible.
I mean, it's the same place. It's the exact same place. It's not many different places. It's just twitch.tv/The Game.
Shows in one place. That's what I meant.
There we go. That is technical.
Together, me and Rob can make one complete sentence.
We stole the brain cell this time.
That's what we're here for, right? Is to just piece together sentences.
100%.
That was my assumption. Yeah.
Okay. The only other thing I think I have to add on to that is that I'm very excited because this past weekend was the Boston Collegiate Cup for college Overwatch.
Yes.
And I unfortunately didn't get to go because I had to watch games on Sunday. But while Mr. Huck was here, they were looking for places for the Boston arena, and they said they want to put it inside the actual city of Boston. So that's something that I can think about and look forward to in the future. Just driving 20 minutes down the road, going to see my fave team. That's fun.
It's really nice.
Wait, where did they say and do that? Where can we find that?
The Boston Cup?
Was it?
Yeah, there was a. I think it was streamed. There was a collegiate event in Boston.
Yeah, Avast
and ZP casted it. Yeah.
Where did you see Huck saying that? Because I would love to.
Oh, on Twitter. It's on his Twitter.
I'm gonna go check that out. You guys should too. I love that.
Yeah, and Kate just said the VOD itself is on Boston's channel.
Okay. Hey, more collegiate scene. Best way to grow.
Collegiate in general is going to be really interesting. Yeah.
Dude, we not too big of a tangent, but we went really hard trying to learn about as much college esports as we could last year, and I can tell you all, it is. I'm lucky enough to have gone to school at one of the best esports programs in the country at Miami University, um, and I don't think everybody's ready for the amount of people that will become big fans of Overwatch and League and all this stuff because of collegiate. I'm so more collegiate, more as much as possible, please.
All right. So in closing, support collegiate Overwatch, support contenders.
Yep.
We got the horses in the back.
Yep.
Yeehaw. Okay, we're good. Thanks everybody for showing up. Have a good night. Go watch House Queens tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern at twitch.tv/the Game Haus. And stay tuned for all sorts of amazing content coming from pretty much all of us, because that's our job, and that's why you follow us. So thanks very much for watching, everybody, and have a good night.